Hello there friends, it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today for a new tutorial. I hope you're ready to make some cards because I have 7 mini slimline projects to share with you today using the brand new Simon Says Stamp Spring Gnomies card kit. This is a limited edition kit, so this kit is only available while supplies last, and you definitely will want to grab one while you can because typically these limited edition kits sell out really fast. I have to tell you, I had so much fun making these cards, and I made 7 mini slimlines and still have tons and tons of product left over that I could make even more cards. So a kit like this, even though it's a little bit higher price point, it is a real big value and you can get a ton of creative time out of these kits. So I want to share 7 ways that you can use this kit to make some really adorable cards. So why don't we jump on in? My first card features some of the fun pattern papers and also the Spring Gnomies stamp set. So to start off, I stamped one of the Spring Gnomes onto some Nina white cardstock and I'm going to color him in with Copic markers. Fun fact for you, I actually illustrated the Spring Gnomes stamp set. So all of the images in the stamp set are my own actual illustrations and I had a lot of fun drawing these images. I love gnomes. I think they're really cute and a really fun character for all year round. These could be great images for not just springtime, but beyond the spring season. When I'm coloring with the Copic markers, I did very simple shading. I didn't want to get too crazy with the coloring, and I'm just adding some really fun colors that are inspired by the pattern papers that are in the kit. These are the Salutations papers from Echo Park. I'm going to also pair one of the sentiment strips that's in the kit. This is from the Spring Gnomes sentiment strip pack. And I'm going to go ahead and cut one of the sentiments out and cover the edges, the white core of the paper, with a bit of black marker. The pattern paper, the Salutations paper pack, comes with some really awesome patterns of beautiful florals. But on many of the sheets, there are some great greetings. And I cut one of those out that says hello. I'm going to pop that up on my card. Including the background that I made from the 6x6 paper, I cut it straight in half, so which means I'm going to get 2 cards out of one sheet of paper. Because I'm making mini slimline cards, they're literally half the size of a 6x6 sheet of paper when they're all folded. So using pattern paper like this is perfect for adding onto your mini slimline cards. So here's my little gnome, my cute sentiments from the paper pack and the sentiment strip set. We're finishing things off with some sequins. These are moonshine sequins from Simon Says Stamp. Now these aren't in the kit. These are something I added in. Any sequins you have on hand would work for this. Continuing along, I'm going to show you another card that I made here. This one's pretty simple, but it has a lot of great texture and some graphical elements. I started off by taking the Bitty Floral stencil, which also, fun fact, I illustrated this too. And I'm going to put this on an angle in my mini slimline card. This is a slimline stencil. So this is 4x9 and will cover your slimline cards beautifully. However, because I'm not doing a slimline size, I'm actually doing mini slimline, which is much smaller than a standard slimline, we can get really creative with the placement of this stencil. So I'm using some texture paste from Tim Holtz and I'm going to apply that through the stencil onto my white card base. This is creating a tone-on-tone texture. There's no color here, it's just white on white, but it adds some great texture and a great graphical element because we're doing only one corner of this entire card. So when this dries, this will be a beautiful floral pattern that's going to look awesome behind some cute pattern paper squares that I cut out from the pattern paper pack that's in the kit. So these are 3 little squares that I cut out of the pattern paper and I'm going to pop them up onto my mini slimline card with foam tape. This is a really nice pairing of these 3 elements. I've got the larger one in the middle and then the 2 smaller ones on the sides. Very graphical, has a very modern and fresh feel to it. And we'll pair a few sentiments from both the sentiment strip pack and another hello greeting that I cut out from the pattern paper. Both of those I popped up onto my card using foam tape. This card is almost done. It really doesn't take much time to put this card together. The hardest part of it is waiting for the paste to dry. Very simple and easy to do. I also pulled out some of those same moonshine sequins. You're going to see those throughout the cards that I created today with the kit. I'm going to glue those down with glossy accents, and this card is finished. All right, who's ready to get colorful? We're going to pull out some Distress Oxide inks, and we're going to use that Bitty Floral stencil again. This time, we're going to do a bit of ink blending. So, I have the stencil here, and I'm taping this straight down onto my mini Slimline card base with some purple tape. I'm going to pull out Distress Oxide inks in Ripe Persimmon, Dried Marigold, Peeled Paint, Broken China, and Faded Jeans. I picked these colors inspired by the pattern papers. I really love the colors that are in the Salutations Papers pack, and so I used that as a guide for what colors I'm going to use for the ink blending, because I kind of wanted all my cards to pair together nicely and coordinate. If I want to, I could give this whole entire set of cards as a gift to somebody and they would look really cute together. But I thought that these colors were so pretty that I wanted to make sure that they were the colors that I used in my stenciling. So I'm going to blend all those colors across my mini Slimline card here, and you can see as I remove the stencil, the gorgeous design that this creates and the fun rainbow collection. I love these colors. I have to use this color combo more often because it just looks so cool. I'm going to pair up a few simple embellishments onto this card. I'm keeping this one really simple. I put one of those pattern paper sentiments onto a scalloped rectangle that I have from a Simon Says Stamp die set, which, by the way, all the products that I'm using today, including the kit contents and any add-on pieces, are listed in the video description or over on my blog. So I have this sentiment that I'm going to pop up along the right-hand corner of my card, and I'm going to complete things by just adding a few holographic rainbow sequins from Simon Says Stamp onto my card. These are really pretty sequins. They really catch the colors that are in my background really nicely. They look great with any rainbow color pattern, but this one really paired well together. All right, continuing along, we got to color one of those really cute Suzy's watercolor cards that are in the kit. Now, don't forget, watercolor cards that Simon Says Stamp has can be used with more than just watercolors. And that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to actually use Copic markers to color in my watercolor card. This gnome is so cute. I already fussy cut him out with some scissors, and I'm going to use some of those same Copic markers that I used to color in the gnome at the beginning of this video, the same color combination. I really thought that these colors were fun and that they paired well with the papers and everything that's in the kit. Originally, I had thought of putting this gnome on top of that background that we had just ink blended, but that's when I decided I wanted to put him on a simpler, plainer background using the same colors, but not with the florals. So that's why I ended up making that floral card that we just saw a few minutes ago. So I'm going to continue coloring in this image. I really love how cute this guy is, and they're very easy to cut out because these are really big images. You get 3 sheets of Suzy's watercolor cards in this kit. They're really big and they color beautifully, and if you want to cut them out, they're really easy to do. All right, so now that we have our coloring finished, I'm going to go ahead and chop him down. I need him to fit onto my mini Slimline card, so I laid him out onto my mini Slimline card, and I turned him over so that I could figure out exactly where I need to chop off any extra pieces that are hanging off the side. So that leaves me with this really nice edge on my gnome. I can then pop him up onto my card, and we'll get to that in a second. But first we need to add some greetings. There are lots of gnome greetings in the stamp set that's in the kit, Spring Gnomies, and so I'm going to use a couple of those to stamp my greetings. I'm using embossing ink from Simon Says Stamp, and I'm stamping both my greetings onto cornflower and black cardstock from Simon Says Stamp. Now these cardstock colors aren't in the kit. I had these in my stash, and I'm going to emboss each of these greetings with white embossing powder. This happens to be Simon's Fine Detail white embossing powder. So here are my 2 sentiments. I'm going to go ahead and emboss these really well so we get a really nice finish. And I will then cut these out. One I will cut into a sentiment strip, and then the other I will actually fussy cut out the greeting. So here is the Miss You. I'm going to pop this up with this gnome greeting, and these are going to look really nice on our finished card. So here's where I'm popping up the gnome. He's going to go onto my background, which is blended with those same Distress Oxide ink colors that we just did for the Bitty Florals. I'll add my greetings, and I'm strategically adding them onto my card because when I was blending, I ended up getting some ink smudges onto my background, and so I really wanted to cover those up. I didn't want to have to reblend this background, so I'm going to use sequins to cover up my mistake. I encourage you, if you ever make a mistake on your card, don't throw it away. Try to come up with a way to hide that mistake, because more often than not, you'll be able to find a way to be able to fix a mistake that you made. I do it all the time. You probably don't even notice on the cards that I make when I make a mistake, but that's because it's so easy to hide them most of the time. So don't give up. If you make a mistake, come up with a really clever way to hide it. Alrighty, so now we got to color more of those little spring gnomes from the gnome stamp set. I have this gnome and some of the cute little mushrooms plus the butterflies that I'm going to color with Copic markers. I've already done that off screen. I used the same colors that you've been seeing me use throughout this video already, and we're going to start popping these up. I'm going to take another half of that pattern paper that I had cut earlier. Remember, our pattern paper works great on mini Slimline cards. You just cut the 6x6 sheet in half, and you can get 2 cards out of 1 sheet. The little gnome and mushrooms, I'm going to go ahead and pop up those with foam tape as well. And you'll notice my greeting, the cute little thank you, that was also cut from the Echo Park Salutations paper pack. I'm telling you, that paper pack is really cool because not only are the florals so beautiful throughout that pattern paper, but the sentiments in there are fantastic. They're great for cards. And I really enjoy being able to cut those out and add them onto my projects as I was creating. So here again, I'm also adding more of those moonshine sequins. Got to add a little bit of sparkle here and there. So I love adding those whenever I can. And that's going to complete this card. We are heading the home stretch. We've got 2 more cards to make. And I love this next one because it has some great embossing details. Not only do you get fun pattern papers, stamps, sentiment strips, coloring cards, cardstock and butterflies and so much more in this kit, but you also get an embossing folder. I love embossing folders. I love using them to create texture on my projects. So I really wanted to try to incorporate that into one of my cards. So I have the embossing folder here, and I'm going to go ahead and put a Simon Says stamp heart inside the embossing folder in one of the corners because I really like that floral pattern there. I'm going to go ahead and run that through my die cut machine. And if you've never used one of these embossing folders from Simon Says Stamp has a whole bunch of sandwich recipes on the listings for each embossing folder. So depending on what you have, you'll be able to go ahead and find the right sandwich for your machine. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and pop up my cute little heart, which has that great embossing details. I'm going to pop that up onto the pattern paper and my card base. I'm going to put this cute little gnome with his twig heart right in the center there, and just a few simple sentiment strips from the sentiment strip pack are the perfect finishing touch for this card. I love the black sentiment strips. They just look so great on every card project. I just love using them. I, of course, couldn't stop there. I had to add more sequins. I know, I'm using them on pretty much every card. So I hope you don't get tired of sparkle, because I never do. And so I'll just glue a few of those down with some glossy accents. Last card. Can you believe it? We're almost at the end here. This one I have to say is probably my favorite. I love this little gnome with his wheelbarrow. I think he's super cute. And I really wanted to make sure I used him on one of my cards. So I colored him, and I am going to go ahead and put him on another one of those backgrounds that I cut in half. And this time I'm going to add a strip of scallop pattern along the bottom. This is using a Simon Says Stamp scallop rectangle die. And I just cut that along one portion of my pattern paper. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out one of those greetings from the Salutations paper pack. I like to use fine tip scissors when I'm cutting small things like this out. Cutter bee scissors are definitely one of my favorite scissors to use. I love how sharp and detailed these are, and they get into really nice small corners nicely. So I'll go ahead and finish cutting this out, and then we can pop this sentiment along with the gnome off of our card. I used foam tape for all the popping up. I just love to add dimension to my cards. If you don't want to add as much dimension, you could totally skip the foam tape and glue with liquid glue or tape runner wherever I added foam tape. Don't feel like you have to go totally dimensional like I do. Alrighty, so we are just about done, but of course, what do you think I'm going to do next? Add more sequins. So here we go. I'm going to add a few moonshine sequins as well to this project, just for that little extra sparkle and shine. And that is the last finishing touch and the last card that I made with the Spring Gnomes card kit from Simon Says Stamp. Now, these cards are only touching some of the products that are in this kit. There are some really cool butterflies that are included in the kit, which are from Tim Holtz. I loved those butterflies so much that I actually made a DIY craft storage project with those butterflies. I colored them with alcohol inks, and I'll show you exactly how to do it if you want to see. Check out the video that I have either up in the top corner or at the end of this video. I'm also going to link to it so that you can check it out. I really encourage you to check it out because even if you don't have the exact same caddy organizer that I did, you could make this project for other types of projects, whether it's art journals, storage containers, whatever you want, incorporate it into your projects. So check out the video. I think it's really fun and a unique way to use these butterflies. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to give it a thumbs up. I would love that, and I would also love if you would subscribe if you haven't already. If you have subscribed, I definitely want to thank you so much because I can't tell you how much I appreciate the fact that you tune in and watch my videos frequently and stay tuned to all the other projects that I have upcoming because I really love sharing them with you all, and I hope that they bring you as much joy as they do me as I create them. Don't forget that this kit that I used today is limited edition. Links to that kit and also all the products that I used today are in the video description below, and you can check out my blog for still pictures on all the cards. Thanks again for tuning in, friends. I will be back very soon with more to share, but until next time, I hope you all have a very wonderful day. Bye!